Welcome to the District 54 Toastmasters Educational Series. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join today. Well, welcome everybody to the District 54 YouTube channel. I am your Program Quality Director for the year 2023-2024, and I have a special topic today because we've had some buzz going on around the district this year, and one of those places of buzz is with our State Farm Talk of the South Club. They have had an influx of new members this year, and I just wanted to celebrate that and ask some questions on how they're doing that. But before we get into those questions, I want to do a little round robin of introductions. So I'm going to start with the officers from Talk of the South, give them each a little moment to introduce themselves, maybe tell how long they've been with Toastmasters, and then we'll get into the questions. So JJ, I will start with you as the president of Talk of the South.
Thank you, Gary. Jonathan Malone, also known as JJ, and I am president of Talk of the South this year. And I've been with Toastmasters since 2020, so about 4 years now.
All right. How about you, Karen?
I have been a member of State Farm Talk of the South since 2007. Ooh. And I get to be the Vice President of Education this year, so very exciting.
Awesome. And Vishal?
Hi, Vishal Byzantine. So I've been with TOTS. How long has it been, guys? It's been 2 years already? Wow, yeah. So with TOTS for 2 years, with various other clubs, but total time, maybe about 25 years. So it's been a while.
All right.
And I'm currently the Vice President of Membership, in case that wasn't clear. Sorry.
There we go. And then finally, last but not least, Jenny, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey there. Thanks, Gary. Jenny Klosterman. I have been with Toastmasters since 2013 and with State Farm Talk of the South since 2015. I'm currently this year the secretary of State Farm Talk of the South, and in previous years have been several of the other officer roles as well, but currently secretary.
All right. And thank you all for not only being officers this year for Talk of the South, but thank you for agreeing to meet with me today. Like I said, this is sort of a special topic, right? Because Talk of the South has had a really good, do I want to use the word influx, maybe, of new members this year. And you guys seem to be handling it pretty well. And I love the fact that so much is going on in TOTS. So we were going to share that experience today. And by the way, if I say the word TOTS, that's just short for Talk of the South, right? Once a tot, always a tot, as we say. So if we use that acronym, folks, don't worry, that just means that we're talking about the club. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick round robin. I got some questions that I'm going to ask each of the officers and just let them give some insight on how this year has been and how they are doing with these new members. So, JJ, I'm going to start with you as the president of the club. And my question for you is, how do you feel this year has gone? And if you could attribute this success to one or two things that the club has done, what would it be?
Thank you, Gary. I gave this question some thought because Gary gave us a preview of what he's going to ask us prior to the meeting. And I really think it comes down to four things, not just two. And the first one I'm about to mention is the hardest to replicate. And that is positive momentum. Coming into the year, we are building off the success of 25 years of Talk of the South. And we've had some excellent boards over the last several years that have built positive momentum for the club, bringing in new members, encouraging members to participate, sign up for roles, give speeches. So we came in already with a nice positive momentum that allowed us to hit the ground running. The second thing, though, and these next three, I think, are things that every club can aspire to do, is creating a positive and welcoming environment. So when we think about why do we have a lot of new members join this year, I firmly believe it's because when they join a Talk of the South meeting, they are seeing a positive environment, a safe space where they see us practicing our public speaking, they see us practicing our leadership skills, and honestly, they see us having fun. From the very beginning of a meeting, we're talking, just checking in on each other, seeing how each other's days are going. We're laughing throughout the meeting, during speeches, during table topics. So I think we just create an environment that makes our guests want to come back and be a part of the Talk of the South organization. Third, we have an incredible board. That is, from the president's perspective, probably the most important thing for a successful year, and the successful year that we've been having. Karen, as our Vice President of Education, works with each member to create educational goals for the year. She helps onboard new members by meeting with them and just talking to them about Talk of the South and what it is to move through the Toastmasters pathways. And we also get each new member set up with mentorships. Vishal, as our Vice President of Membership, whenever we have a new member reach out, he quickly reaches out to them, is very friendly, walks them through the process, lets them know what it would take to join Talk of the South. So they immediately have a friendly face that they can associate with the club and somebody that's there in their corner to help them find that success in getting involved. With Casey, I haven't seen a Vice President of Public Relations have more creativity in creating materials to attract people to come to our guest days. For each guest day, she's putting out flyers, she's tying it into the theme of the club meeting for the day, and just talking about how Toastmasters isn't only for the development of communication skills, but also your leadership skills. So she's heavily invested in bringing them into the club environment. And again, we think if we can get them in the door, we have a really good shot by getting them to sign up or come back with our positive environment. And Jenny takes very diligent notes as secretary so that if somebody does miss a meeting, they don't really feel like they're missing a meeting because they're seeing all the recorded speeches typed out by Jenny, the table topics typed out, and we get those sent out very quickly after the meeting. So it just keeps that positive momentum going because we all miss meetings. We're all busy. But when you are getting those updates, you feel like, okay, I'm still part of the group. I'm still aware of what's going on. So having an incredible board is very important, I think, if you're going to have a great year. And then that fourth item I would mention is intentionality. At the very beginning of the year, we met as a board and talked about what we wanted to accomplish for the year. We set our sights on that President's Distinguished level, which as a club we haven't achieved since 2018. And every board meeting, we look at our DCP goals, see where we are at in terms of checking those off the list. So it just gives us a very easy playbook to work on as we progress through the year to see, okay, what do we still have left to do? Who do we need to meet with to talk through about achieving their education goals? How many more members do we need to get? So we've been very fortunate with the membership aspect of it because that's really hard to achieve, getting 8 new members joining into a club. So when we saw that we had the potential this year to achieve those 2 metrics, I think it really lit a fire under us to try to achieve the rest of them because we really saw that we had the potential to reach that President's Distinguished level, which we're still working towards, but well on our way. So those 4 things, positive momentum, positive environment for members, incredible board, and intentionality, I think have really been the foundational blocks for us having a successful year this year at Talk of the South.
Awesome. Thank you, JJ. I love that response. And to everybody out there that's watching, that last one with intentionality, we have things that we offer from the district, such as club success plans and the DCP that JJ was talking about. And if you want more information about that, please reach out to your district leaders. We can certainly get you educated on creating a club success plan, following that throughout the year, and monitoring your DCPs. Thank you for bringing that up, JJ. All right, I'm going to shift over to our Vice President of Education, Karen, and I'm going to ask, does Talk of the South have a mentoring program, and how has this influx of new members affected that process this year?
Well, thank you for that question, Gary. We absolutely do have a mentoring program. We've had a mentoring program since before I started, and we match every new member as they're joining with an existing member to be their mentor and to kind of walk that journey with them as they begin. We start at the very first orientation meeting, and I let them know that this is a great person to work with. And then when they reach back out to me with questions, I make sure that I'm always referring them by name to also feel free to reach out to that mentor. If they haven't had an opportunity to develop that relationship, I'm wanting to make sure that I encourage it, that I help to nurture it a little bit so that we're always building relationship across across the club between the mentors and the mentees. And then as we have so many new members this year, we are finding that our existing mentors, because they received mentoring themselves and they see that importance, some of them are starting to take on a second new member, which is really great to see. And that helps to build those relationships between and among the members. So that's something that we're definitely going to keep going.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I'm glad to see that Talk of the South has kept up with their mentoring program throughout the years. And by the way, another little segue for all those that are watching, in Pathways, I don't know if you know this, but there is a mentoring pathway there. After you complete, I believe, your first level or level 2 within your first path, and you do that mentoring through Toastmasters project, that mentoring program becomes available to you, and you can sign up for that, and that helps you go through a path of mentoring somebody else and the resources that you need for that. That's always helpful. More information, reach out to your district leaders. All right. We're going to move right along to our Vice President of Membership, Vishal. And my question to you is, how has this influx of new members, where does it come from? Has it come from things like special events? Has it been in coordination with your other officers, such as the VPPR? Or has it just been as simple as the Talk of the South folks reaching out and inviting people, sort of peer to peer?
Yeah, it's been kind of all the above, but I guess what I'd say is the top things, in my opinion, is we've got a great Vice President of Education, a very energetic and proactive VPE, and a VP of Public Relations. So Karen, you mentioned Casey, and she couldn't make it today. That's all right. She does a lot of great work. She's on top of things. She's always creative with her flyers. She communicates proactively. I would say that's between those things, Karen, you'll regularly go to conferences and forums. You'll have a booth there. We'll try to do that periodically, and people walk up. A lot of leads get generated from that. So I would say the energy, the commitment, the proactivity, the creativity is just there. So that's a very big part of it. I think there has been some word of mouth as well, especially early on when we were still doing more hybrid. Definitely in person, when you sit together, it's easier to have that word of mouth because you have a lot of ad hoc face-to-face conversations. But it seems like as of the last year, a lot of it has been the effective use of announcements and rapid follow-ups. I think, JJ, you might have mentioned that. I don't know if this is true of every club. It seems like we try to stay on top of it, and even if I'm not doing it as quickly as I ought to, I try. But we have each other's backs so that if something goes on a little bit too long, they're asked about it and say, hey, did anybody follow up? And then they'll just follow up, right? And then that way that person doesn't sit out there wondering, is anybody going to get back to me? People like to know that you're responsive when you first interact with someone, right? Otherwise, you kind of disengage. So that's one thing. We've got a defined process for guests. We have materials ready to go. We can share that instantly, including a membership form that's partially filled out to make it easier. Not that people want to do that immediately, but you never know. And another thing we do is we have a defined process to flow from onboarding, which is how you get your accounts and everything, straight into mentoring, right? So the educational plan, how you get assigned a mentor, and then the mentor is supposed to, and I think generally does, immediately figure out how do we get you enrolled in something, right? Whether it's your icebreaker or whatever. So there's kind of like a nice flow, I guess, where it's very easy for people to if they make the slightest effort, we'll follow up and make everything else rapid and easy as possible in a very non-pushy way. That's the other thing I've noticed. Everything tries to be, we try to be very respectful, but we're also very proactive. So I think that's part of it too. I love this board, and this club definitely has energy. One other thing I want to mention, though, on that topic is I feel like this club has a virtuous cycle where I think in a lot of clubs you see they're the same people that end up being on the board year after year, and some of that is you have low membership, and so you just have to do it. At this club, you get fresh blood coming in all the time. You have people rotating in. You also have some steady hands holding down the fort in case people have questions. It's a very healthy club, honestly. This is some of that is that you don't have the burnout and stuff like, we've been to these TLIs or other things where you say, oh, I have to do this every year. It's like, yeah, I get that. And some of that is, it's a factor of recruiting, right? So if you can get that pipeline of new people coming in, and oddly, we have too many people coming in, and I didn't say that because there's no such thing as too many, but you do want to have a quality experience. If you have too many, you can't invest in every person, right? So it's like, there's got to be a balance, but it's a nice problem, right? Because now we can have a new set of people on the board every year, and it doesn't have to be the same people getting burned out, which is also there for leadership opportunities and so on. So I think there's a lot of factors, but in terms of just the membership, I think the energy and the creativity that we use to create that influx is the personalities on the board. Personally, I would say above all, Karen and Casey this year, they've been doing a really great job. And then I'm good with like workflow, bureaucracy, that kind of thing. I can hold down the fort on process. I am not a creative guy, and I'm not necessarily charismatic, right? But if you have the right people creating an influx, then I can see it through, with the right process, right? So I feel like we're a pretty good team in that regard. That's how I see it.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I really loved and enjoyed that answer because it really wasn't something that I was thinking about. But this healthy dynamic between the executive board really helps, right? So many people get trapped into their own office and think, man, I got to do everything. And they get trapped into thinking that they're the only one that's doing it. But it's good to see that within TOTS, you guys are really supporting and helping each other. And it sounds like the process flows from officer to officer very well. So that is awesome to hear. And thank you for that response. All right. On to the secretary, Jenny. I have a question for you as secretary. How have you been handling all this new guests? Because I've seen some meetings where you had, I don't want to interject myself, but I am a tot, but you guys have had like a lot of guests on a particular day. So how do you handle gaining all that information from the new guests attending club meetings? And is there a process to communicate that to the other officers?
Yeah, thanks. Good question, Gary. And as I think about that, I had a hard time coming to the realization that the secretary really does have a hand in managing the guests that come in. And I really thought of that as a VP PR, a VP membership, as the ones to recruit people coming in. And the more I thought about it, and JJ talked about the fact that I'm capturing notes for the meeting, and those meeting notes get sent out typically the same day as our meeting. So during the course of the meeting, I am taking the notes during the speeches, during the table topics, making a note of who's filling all the roles and the attendance of the meeting. So not just our members that are attending, but capturing all the guests that attend the meeting as well. So important thing is follow up with the guests when they join one of our meetings. And so not only are they getting follow up from VP membership after the meeting, sharing the materials, our guest materials, but they're also getting a copy of our meeting notes. So as I capture all the members or the guests who attend a meeting, I make sure that they also get a copy of our meeting notes as well. So they're hearing from Vishal, they're hearing from me. So they have both of those avenues to respond back if they have any questions. And I think a lot of times if they're a first guest to a meeting, I think it's probably a very overwhelming process. And I think to have those notes to refer back to, they go, oh yeah, so-and-so talked about that. And oh yeah, so-and-so talked about that. And I think it just reinforces what happened during the meeting because it probably was a blur to a first time guest. So so I think that's just capturing all the guests that attend the meeting. And so having it in the notes, and then that way Vishal can sync up who he's captured as guests and then my notes, and then we can make sure we got everybody covered who attended. And one thing I think that we forget about sometimes is that we'll start our meeting, we'll open with welcoming all the guests, and then many times you'll have somebody who will join partway through the meeting. And so periodically through the meeting, I make sure that, did someone else join? I want to make sure they get added because maybe they didn't get a chance to introduce themselves, but then they'll still get the notes after the fact. So it's really a lot of just note taking and keeping track of who's who and who attended.
Awesome. Yep. Yeah. Again, as I was thinking of the questions, right, I was in the same boat. I was like, how does the secretary affect new members? Because again, you don't think about that. Sometimes we get in this silo of, new members are part of the VP of memberships role. So I'm not thinking of it as far as the secretary. And I'm really glad that Talk of the South is taking that moment, even if you subconsciously is doing it, right? You are engaging those members during the meeting. You are taking note of those members to help the executive team. And I love that. I love that answer. So thank you for that. Well, we have one person that has been mentioned through this meeting, but was unfortunate enough not to be able to attend today. And I want to give her some time as well, because she did, even though she couldn't attend, she did reply to one of my questions with an answer. And that is your guys' Vice President of Public Relations, Casey Cook. Now, I'm sorry, Casey, I can't exactly remember what year you joined, but I do know it was a couple of years ago, right? She's been a TOT for at least 2 years, I believe. So she joined sometime during that COVID time, and I'm sorry, Casey, for not having the exact date off the top of my head, but I do want to give you some credit for responding. And my question to the Vice President of Public Relations was, what are some things that you have done to help with gaining so many new members, especially being a corporate club, which Talk of the South is, with little to no outside influence like social media? And here was the Vice President of Public Relations, Casey Cook's response. She said, in my role, I mainly focus on marketing our club by promoting guest days and our regular meetings with fun themes, such as our holiday meeting. This year, I have been using virtual flyers, Viva Engage, which is a business social type posting application, and State Farm itself has an enterprise style messaging through your internal internet homepage. And she's been using that to advertise how Toastmasters can enhance career development. That is a really good key point, especially in the corporate world. She continues to say, I've always included catchy taglines and humorous headings in our marketing messages. Vishal, I think that lends to her creativity, right? Being able to really grab people in. She said, to ensure consistency, I follow a messaging schedule when promoting specific meetings, which has proven to be very effective. Many guests have told us that they have attended a meeting because they came across one of our advertising messages. That's great to hear. Additionally, I have actively engaged with our business social platform, and she has responded to any questions or interest in Toastmasters that she has come across. And that last one is really vital, right? Because a lot of times our guests may come with questions first, and they may engage through your post or your social media. And if you're not there to respond, well, they may not join a meeting. So the fact that she's been consistent in her role as Vice President of PR, been engaging through, like she said, her humorous headlines and her witty taglines, this has all helped with engagement with Talk of the South this year. So congratulations, Casey, to that. I really enjoy the fact that you have taken on this role so much and inspired to do that. Now, that was from a corporate setting, and I want to interflect just a little bit to those VPPRs that are outside of the corporate world. You know, you can still use things like social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, as they call it, Instagram, to invite people, even things like Meetup. Meetup is a great social aspect that gives information about your clubs that you can go out there and promote. And if you have any questions about that, again, reach out to the district, or the district itself has their own social media. If you want to utilize that to promote any special events you may have, let us know, and we can help promote that to hopefully encourage new members for you. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up, and I just want to thank each and every one of you again for attending today, for answering these questions. I love the camaraderie that I feel from this executive team. I love the fact that it's paying off in strides with all of your new members, and I just want to say good luck for reaching that President's Distinguished this year. I know I've already been hit up by the VP of this fine institution to make sure that I'm on my personal goals. So I'm going to get on track with that. But thank you, and maybe we'll follow up at the end of the year to see how you guys are doing. All right. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Gary.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to click that like, subscribe to our channel, and click that notification bell for more videos.